Vibes! It's Friday. Another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K23.
Hey, Mo, can I just say it?
Go ahead.
Another one.
Come on. Another one. And BJ wants to bring you some heat today. And I thought, you know what? It's not quite 25 games into the season, but do you know what today is? Today is 1/4 of the way through the NBA season. We're halfway to halfway. 25% of the regular season is already done. So I thought, let's have a look at these NBA awards and who's leading these races a quarter of the way through. And then we'll check in again halfway through. So we're going to dive off the deep end right now, BJ. We talked about it a little yesterday, but who has been your MVP so far this year?
Woo! Well, right now, Mo, it's a two-man race right now. Well, Giannis is just permanently there. You know, he's just there. Okay, Giannis is just he's there. Mm-hmm. He could be MVP. I mean,
every year.
He can be MVP every year. Okay, but there are two players in particular. They're cooking. Mm-hmm. They're cooking with hot grease in the kitchen right now, Mo. Mm-hmm. And the fire is turned way up. Mm-hmm. One lives in the Valley of the Sun. His name is Devin Booker.
50 piece in 3 right quarters.
Okay. And then the other guy, you know, there used to be a player, one of my favorite players of all time, right? I loved him. They referred to him as the Boston Strangler. Okay. You know, his name was Andrew Toney. Mm-hmm.
It was his birthday the other day, actually. I was going to mention it on the show, but
was it really?
Oh,
yeah. Well,
his birthday was last week.
Huge. Shout out to Andrew Toney.
I thought that might be too niche for our listeners, so I left it off. But
yeah.
It was a great coincidence.
Okay. But right now, it's a two-man race with our permanent resident, you know, our permanent, resident is Giannis. But Jason Tatum and Devin Booker right now, wow.
I got to press you for one name, though. If you had to award the award today, who are you giving the award to?
I would say Jason Tatum right now. Okay. However, Devin Booker right now has the best record. Their team has the best record in the Western Conference. Mm-hmm. Minus, okay, there's no Jay Crowder, who was a starter last year. There's no Chris Paul. And it's like, wow, guy had 51 last night in 3 quarters work. Mm-hmm. He had 51 in 30 minutes last night, Mo. That was an easy 60 piece last night, Mo. Mm-hmm. Mo, that was an easy 60 piece in 30 minutes, Mo.
I said to my friend Ross, I said, well, they should have kept him in the game because he may have got 70 points and it might have counted because they would have won the game this time.
I knew this was going somewhere.
But you guys who aren't aware, Devin Booker once had a 70-point game, but they lost the game, so we don't count that over here.
Yeah. So what I'm going to give, those two, I'm going to give it to Jason Tatum. However, Devin Booker, I don't want any more questions about his game. It was funny. We were talking about him in yesterday's show.
Yes, which you guys didn't know. We pre-recorded that before he dropped his 50 piece.
Yeah,
but
yes.
We always say, I think Tatum's right there, but we always say Giannis, and I feel like we take for granted. I just got to show some love right now because he's right up there, over 30 points a game in less than 30 minutes a game usually.
Who's this?
Giannis. Without Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
The Bucks have got the second best record in the East. They've won 75% of their games so far, right? They got the second best record in the entire league. No Chris Middleton. He's just the pillar of consistency.
Drew Holiday has been out for some time. And he's just so good.
He's playing with Grayson Allen and Javon Carter. Shout out to Giannis.
Yeah, he's just so good. He's so good. He's so good.
I think any of those, I think between Giannis and Tatum for me, I ain't going to give it to Booker over Tatum. I can't do that.
Okay.
I can't do that.
That's fine.
But
that's fine.
Shout out to Book. Book's been
you know what? I got to call it like I see it.
The cover star of NBA 2K23. And if you want to get the game with Devin Booker on the cover, hit the link in our description. Or you can also get Michael Jordan on the cover. Hit the link in our description. And they even had a J. Cole cover. Quick quick question, BJ.
Yes.
If you could pick the rapper to be on NBA 2K24, which rapper would be on the cover?
Well, Mo, you know how I am about my music, Mo. See,
But you only get to pick one. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
No. Mo. See, Mo, I have to pick an MC. See, I can't do. I have to pick an Mo. I gotta first make sure it's correct. I have to put an MC, not a rapper on there. I have to put an MC on there.
Microphone controller.
If I were to put one, if I had to put an MC on there, it would be KRS-One.
Jeez. Greasy.
I had to put him on there. If I just had one. Now, that's a tough question. But if I had to put one, Mo, because your favorite rapper's favorite rapper is KRS-One. Hey, Mo, and he's got a song called "Still Number One." I don't want to get off track.
Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Sorry.
We talked about the MVP. Right now, who's your defensive player of the year so far?
Wow, that's been interesting. I would have to say Marcus Smart. I mean, I don't know who else.
I know this. I spoke about this last week. Was it last week I spoke about this?
Yeah, OG. No one is really like
OG's played well.
OG's played well.
If you watch what he does to whoever he's guarding that night, everyone's having their worst game of the season against OG. If you're a wing scorer in the NBA, you're having your worst game of the season against OG.
No one's really, the game has been watching the NBA game. It's been, I haven't seen a system or a player that is really, like you're saying, is affecting the game like that, right? You would see like a Draymond or would see
like we say for MVP, Giannis is always there. I think Brook Lopez. Yeah. Brook Lopez has been fantastic on the defensive side.
Yeah.
Bam Adebayo as well.
They're defending different now too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But for me, OG, just the way that he guards guys and that contributes to the offense.
I'm going to take a closer look at him. I'm going to take a closer look. I want to take a closer look at what he's doing. See what he's doing.
You need to be tapped into OG.
But I'm going to tell you, I watched Minnesota last night, and they're down right now with Karl Anthony Towns. Rudy Gobert looked like the old Rudy Gobert last night. I know it's just one game.
We talked about this. We watched the game. You guys know, BJ watched the game together just via the phone. And we were talking about the Timberwolves. Right. And at the start of the game, we said it's almost a silver lining, because you never want to see someone get hurt. But a silver lining of a player being out of the lineup is the other guys can step up and you can see what you got. But
you can see
it helps the Minnesota defense because they've now got one more spot in their team where it's not too much of a liability. Because Karl Anthony Towns trying to guard that perimeter was kind of sticky. Obviously, Kyle Anderson.
I'm going to keep a close eye.
Kyle Anderson's not known as a lockdown guy, but can do a job. But
I'm going to keep a close eye on this kid, Anthony Edwards. I want to see how much responsibility he can shoulder in the absence of Karl Anthony Towns. Because last night, Mo, he looked like a franchise player. He really played terrific. I think they blocked like 11 or 12 shots as a team. They were
against the Grizzlies.
That's what I'm saying. And they were playing with a different energy. So it was good. It was good. And hopefully the Karl Anthony Towns has a speedy recovery.
And speaking of Anthony Edwards, he was, a lot of people's pick for most improved player. BJ Armstrong, who is your most improved? I think I know the answer to this one. I think I might know the answer to this one.
From the Orlando Magic.
Tell them.
Bo, baby. That's my most improved. I love watching Bo. I do. I mean, Mo, I my fantasy, my NBA fantasy is to get, I had to clarify that when I said it, is having 5 7-footers on the floor.
I'm glad you clarified.
Just having 5 7-footers on the floor at the same time. And Bo, he's mesmerizing to me. He's mesmerizing. We
He's
got to get him on the
Chico.
show, Mo.
100%, man. 100%.
We got to get him
He's
on the
heard
show.
everyone talking about
Bobo.
Wembanyama and said, hey, listen, let me show you something real quick.
No, Bobo is. I'm just happy that he's healthy. But the things he does on the court though are just like incredible. I mean, he just the space, you know, the rebounds. He passes over the top. I mean, he just does so many things that are just like so interesting. And the fact that he can play 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he brings the ball up the court. When he brings the ball up the court,
there's no positions.
When he brings the ball up the court, I love it.
There's no positions anymore, BJ. Like, just put these guys up there, let them run. By the way, Markelle Fultz
was back last night in the lineup.
Return to action. I'm very happy to see him out there. You know, the Magic, their defense is kind of struggling a bit. There was no Wendell or Mo Bamba, but it was good to see Markelle back out there. He missed, what was it, 21 games so far this season? He missed all the games with a fractured toe. And he's trying to hustle out there. He was straight away trying to hustle in the first 5 minutes of the game. He was out there on the court trying to do his thing. Knocked down little jumpers and a couple of other things. So most improved Bo. I think Tyrese Halliburton deserves a shout because he's doing amazing things. We talked about him the other day.
Yeah, did you watch that game? I watched that game last night too.
The Indiana Pacers.
And, Indiana Pacers versus Sacramento. And
you're gonna light the beam. They had 50 Cent lighting the beam after the game.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that too. You know, shout out to 50. Shout out to 50.
That's how bad the Knicks are. This man's gone all the way to Sacramento.
Can I say this about the Kings? That is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
When the beam goes up. That's a really, it's like something about it. And people wait after the game now.
Yeah.
To shoot the beam.
I want to see it.
That's really cool.
I've never wanted to go to Sacramento, but I want to go now.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing. So, you know, their marketing department deserves a lot of credit for the idea. However, it makes it really exciting when the team is winning. And, you know, you haven't been able to say that over the last 10 to 15 years with the Sacramento Kings, but they have a really good team.
20 years coming up.
But I want to say this too. A lot of times when players get traded, you could see the energy, right? You see the energy that comes back. Or the players that are, you know, that leave or the players that stayed or what have you. There's a little bad blood there. De'Aaron Fox, I don't know if you watched the game. De'Aaron Fox was simply on another level last night.
Oh, he had to win that game. He had to win that
game.
No,
he didn't just win that game. They dominated that game.
It's personal.
Yeah, it's personal. Mo, he wanted to make sure that there was no doubt, okay? There was no doubt what's going on here. De'Aaron Fox, you know, he didn't have like massive, it wasn't like a 40-point effort.
It was subtle things like waving off a screen so that he could stay matched up against
yeah,
Mo, young fella. I'm gonna take you to the mid post here and I'm gonna show you some work.
Mo. Okay, so you saw the same thing I saw. Mo, there were a lot of like, let me just make sure you understand that I'm De'Aaron Fox. And you know what this is. And I gotta, you know, I like that, Mo. That's more the era I comprehend.
The dog in him. He's got the dog in him.
Okay, so I'm gonna be really interested. I don't think they've played in Indiana yet, or Indianapolis yet.
They're scheduled to let's have a look. When they're gonna who the hell would have thought?
Played with the who would have thought played with a lot of.
Who would have thought in the offseason that we'd be looking forward to the Pacers and the Kings? February the 4th.
I'm going to tell you, I'm looking forward to the Pacers because the Pacers have a darn good team.
Well, they're playing good basketball. On paper, they don't. On paper, let's prove it. On paper, they don't have
on paper, well,
but in real life, they play well.
Mathurin is a really good player. Buddy Hield's a good player. Halliburton's a good player. They got some good players over there. Now,
on paper, they have a rookie, 2 guys who are constantly in trade talks, and a point guard who's still 21 years old. That's what they have on paper.
Okay. Well, but those are, for us who are watching, those are really good players. I don't care who they are.
Well, this is what I mean. This is what I'm saying. In real life, they're playing good.
Yeah. No, I like them. But I want to watch that game because De'Aaron Fox was great to see. I loved it. And Sabonis played with a lot of energy. He was really active. Give those guys credit. Those guys up in Sacramento playing good basketball. Coach Brown, you might want to put his name for Coach of the Year. I mean, he's really got some.
That brings us to our next
right
question, then, BJ. Who is your Coach of the Year so far? Because you say Rick Carlisle's done a good job in Indiana. Coach Brown's done a good job in Sacramento.
It's a little early to say that, right? Because I'm gonna say, Joe Mazzulla at Boston has done a terrific job.
That's my pick.
First year coach, first year head coach, getting thrown into. I mean, Mo, that's not an easy situation. Now, on one hand, look, this league is always about talent. I had a coach who would always say, I'm a pretty good coach when I got great players. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something. Your first job, you have a player who's capable of going out and getting 49, 50 points. Bo, you do what you got to do. Now, that's a pretty good start. Okay. You got Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart sitting there. You got an all-star caliber player who's probably going to be he's already been named all-star once, I think, is Jaylen Brown.
Yep.
Brogdon coming off your bench. That's a pretty good start, right? You got another guy who could easily be a first-team all-defensive player coming back from injury. By the way, I heard he practiced yesterday.
Yeah.
Time Lord.
I seen him blocking shots in the scrimmage.
Or the scrimmage or 2 days ago, I think.
Yeah.
So, again, I think Joe Mazzulla and what he's had to overcome to get there, we don't need to recount what happened.
It was a sticky situation.
But, however, he's done a terrific job. Monty has done a terrific job, there in Phoenix. But, if you said Rick Carlisle, wow. I mean, if you live outside of Indianapolis and you had the Indiana Pacers,
even the biggest Pacers fan in the world, I don't think would have told you they'd be the fourth best team in the Eastern Conference so far.
They've done a good. Now, how long is it going to be? They're going to sustain this?
Maybe through January.
But he's done it. But I got to give Mike Brown credit, man. I got to give him credit. And I want to give him credit because when you watch this Sacramento Kings team play, when you watch them on television, there's a different energy that I'm feeling in the building.
It's from that. Did you see that press conference at the start of training camp where Mike Brown just inexplicably screamed into the microphone? Do you remember seeing that? It became like a meme on Instagram. Yeah. He just screamed. And ever since that moment, they've changed.
That's what I'm saying. He is, along with those players, right? Because obviously the players have to play and perform. But give Mike Brown credit for his leadership and what he's done. He's really organized them the way they play. You can tell they're playing with a purpose, right? You can see Sabonis has the freedom to he does a little bit of everything. He rebounds, he brings the ball up the court, he screens.
He's a monster.
Dribble handoff. They play through him. Is there any doubt now who's going to finish the game for them at the end of the game? Right? That's De'Aaron Fox's time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no hesitation. Malik Monk. I love how Malik Monk plays. Malik Monk is the player that I always kind of admired. He has a red light coming off the bench. Remember how remember J.R. Smith when he used to play that way. But he was just come in and just jack it. You know what I mean? Just bad shot after bad shot. However, Malik Monk has really assumed that role now. He just comes in, and last night he was cooking though. He had it going last night. He plays, but you can tell they've all kind of bought into what's going on up there, and they're playing with a purpose. And I'm gonna tell you who's quickly becoming he's a really good player. It's this kid, Kevin Huerter.
Yep, that was a great trade. We spoke about that.
He's really, really, really solid.
What they call him? They call him Red Velvet.
They call him Red Velvet. Yeah, they call him Red Velvet. He's a really good player. So it's a nice combination with him and De'Aaron Fox, by the way. I kind of like those two as a guard combination. Sabonis, the kid Keegan Murray has been sensational. Harrison Barnes has been a pro's pro, right? He's just the steady guy who just shows up, gets his, double every night. So they got a nice thing going. They got a nice rhythm, a nice flow going to what they're doing down there in Sacramento. And that's good to see because we haven't seen that since, Vlade and the king of the double-double himself, Chris Webber,
Mm-hmm.
one of Detroit's finest, the king of the double-double.
Chris Webber, man. I ain't heard that name in a hot minute.
Oh, well, hey. Oh, we can have a little segment about Chris Webber if you want to know greatness now.
On the court, yes, very much so. As a commentator, the fans aren't big fans, but that's a conversation for another day. Shout out to C-Web.
No,
shout out to C-Web.
Shout out
a lot of people don't know
when
we talk about unicorns, a lot of them are inspired by KG, and who is KG inspired by? C-Web.
C-Web. Oh yeah,
there we go.
On now. Come on. Yeah.
We got to talk about another player we mentioned was Mathurin, but who has been your rookie of the year so far? Because that's my pick right there.
Mathurin, Paolo, I think those guys are, they're like 1 and 2. Those guys right now. Paolo, I got to give him credit. Every time I watched them a little bit last night. They lost to Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta last night. I was watching them. And he's much better than I anticipated. Like, I didn't know he handled as well. He's a better athlete than I thought. He's a little stronger than I thought. He shoots a little better than I thought. Mm-hmm. He passes a little. He is a really, really good basketball player. He's a really good basketball player. So Paolo he seems like he's a mature player.
Yeah.
Him,
when you watch him, you wouldn't think he's a rookie,
Yeah, he plays at but this kid, Mathurin, is it Mathurin? Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah. He is wow. He's doing this coming off the bench, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. We're coming off the bench. Who's your 6th man of the year so far?
Well, he's got to be him, Mathurin.
The rookie and the 6th man.
6th man. I don't think, has that ever been done before?
No, we had this conversation a few weeks ago. That's not been done, I don't think. But I want to show some love to Russell Westbrook. I don't think he should win the award right now because the Lakers are still rubbish, but he has accepted his role. Remember people saying Russell Westbrook's going to be out of the league. Russell Westbrook won't be able to accept a role off the bench. He's off the bench thriving. I mean, not to the level he's played before in his career, but for what he can do this season, I don't think anyone could criticize him in his new role coming off the bench.
Well, I don't think you can. It's one thing I've learned as an ex-player. I've learned working in the front office. If a player is going to meet their potential, they need, one, the spacing on the floor to do it, and they're going to need the freedom to kind of figure out what they can and can't do within the system and the confinements that you set as a coach and as a team.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about combinations and who you play with. And here's the hard thing for Russell at this stage of his career. And, he's in year, 15 or so, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
His whole career, if he hasn't been the best player on the team, he's been the second best player on the team.
Yeah.
That means that the rest of the pieces, Mo, you're building around to complement your best players, right? That's how you do this, right? Your best players, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and then you try to build around that. The best players on this team is who? Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
And then you build around that, okay? To Russell's defense here, Russell has never had to be a role player. And especially if there's one area of his game, right? Because we all have flaws in our game, right? So it's suddenly like we take Giannis, who I consider the best player in the game right now. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden now I make him the second best player on the team. That's going to be an adjustment for him. Why? It's because he's going to have to learn how to play off of the best player on the team. That mm-hmm. means his one flaw that he has in his game, which is perimeter shooting, he's somehow now going to get more perimeter attempts because he's not going to get the same 40, 50 touches that he gets as the best player on the team.
Yep.
Russell Westbrook has a flaw in his game, right? He is not an accurate three-point shooter. Suddenly now the court shrank on him and there was no place for him to go as a starter. However, guess what happens, Mo, when he plays on the second unit and LeBron comes out of the game?
Yep. He gets more space.
He gets back into a familiar territory in the game. And now the game resembles to him what it's always resembled. So now, instead of playing 30 plus minutes with LeBron and AD on the floor, what happened for him, Mo, was a blessing in disguise. When LeBron was out and he was coming off the bench, there was just tons of space now for him to figure out what was going on the court.
Yeah. And he's going to have to get really second guys.
And he's playing, but Mo, we all need our, you need your confidence. You need to figure out the game. But the most important thing is he's playing with the ball back in his hand. The coach is encouraging him, attack the basket, play with pace, and you don't have to worry about managing the game, playing from the corner threes because LeBron has the ball, making sure Anthony Davis gets his touches. He just is playing like the Russell. You can say a lot of things about Russell, right? Shot selection. You can say all those things. Okay, that's fair on the court. But what's one thing you can't say, Mo, and I said this all last year, and I said it again this year. That man brings that energy to the game now.
Every year.
Mo, that man brings that energy, and he plays hard. And it's good to see him back playing the game, how he plays the game. Now, we can question his offensive charges and shot selection at times. But Mo, when he's good, though, he's really good.
Yeah.
Because he plays so hard. And it's good that Coach Ham said, you know what? You are who you are. But if you're going to be who you are, you're going to have to do it now with this group, because this group needs a player like you to penetrate and play. You got to live with his recklessness. You know what I mean? You got to live with 4 or 5 turnovers with him. But because he does so many things that are good if he's allowed to play that way. But playing a control game, that's not his game. And that's okay, because he's played this way for so long that I don't know if it's possible for him to go back. But he's seen what I really like about it? He's really adjusted his game to today's game. And there is a role for you if you're open to it. And good for him and good for the Lakers.
And it took Carmelo a while to figure it out, but I do hope Carmelo gets onto a roster soon.
Yes.
The final award, or let's say whatever. When we did this in the offseason, you predicted, do you remember who you predicted would be champions? The infamous BJ Armstrong.
At the beginning of the season, I thought just looking without watching the games, I thought it was the Clippers.
Yeah.
I don't know who I picked.
And now, after
I thought it was the Clippers.
Basically Kawhi Leonard not playing again, who's your pick right now if you had to predict a champion?
The Boston Celtics.
Oh,
if I had to predict,
don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
No. Mo, it changes. You got to see the games. After 25 games, Mo, that's my standard. You know what I mean? I stand by that.
I mean, I'm still saying Giannis and the Bucks.
Hey, listen,
they get Middleton
Giannis,
back.
They get them back. Here's one thing. There's 2 things right now. Can the Bucks win it? Absolutely. I can't ever go against Giannis. There's 2 things with their team now that really concern me, because Mo, you know how I love to look at rosters and how they're constructed, because that's the art, right?
Yeah.
You got to have help from your executives and your coaches when you have an opportunity to win. I mean, think about this. Anyone who coaches Giannis, you have a legit chance to win a championship. So the next step is how you construct the team. One of the things that really concerns me is the depth of this team. They don't have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
With this group. You know what I mean, Mo? When I mean depth, they have good players, but you got to have players who can play the game at a championship level. Okay. There's a huge drop-off from their top 3. Right? You got Giannis, you got Drew, you have Middleton, and then who's the next best player after that? Bobby Portis, or Bobby Portis, as you like to say. So you have Bobby, you have, who's a really good player, right? You have the Brook Lopez, but then you're starting to see a drop off with the talent level. The second thing that bothers me with the team, it doesn't bother me, it's good, that I'm concerned about, is having another player who can play off the dribble. Because because I saw that last year in the playoffs, when the offense does break down, because these teams are so well scouted. And when you play in an elite defensive team like the Boston Celtics, they're going to take away something. That's the great thing about the Celtics. They can't take away everything. Giannis, you couldn't stop him. You know what I mean? But you can take away something. Giannis had to make an adjustment in his game. Normally, he can just overpower you, run through you, Euro step around you, go over the top. The Celtics said, no, we're going to take away something. And it took Giannis even a game or two to figure it out. I think they need another guy who can play off the bounce.
Yeah, I agree. Like,
because
off the bench, just coming in to be that spark plug. And
right.
also,
yes.
And also to be able to run the offense and get easier looks for those guys so they're not reliant on self-creation.
I just think there's another guy, right? Because after Giannis, who is amazing off the dribble, off the catch, he does it all. Their next player is what? Middleton?
Yeah.
Couldn't play off the bounce?
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to see another player on their roster coming off the bench who can just play off the bounce.
And as good as Drew Holiday is, he did struggle in the playoffs last season when he had to create for himself.
Exactly.
Just he can't be playing that much defense as well and be expected.
And that's exactly right. And now, in saying all of that, minus Middleton, they still took the Celtics to Game 7. That's what I'm saying. But I would like to see them just add one player who can play on the perimeter, off the bounce, and really take a shot at it, because they're right there. Mo, they are right there. A bounce here, a bounce there last year, maybe they win the thing. That's how close you are. But that's if there's one thing for me, now I'm looking at their roster. You know who would be a great addition to them? Is Brogdon.
If only they could turn back the hands of time.
How about that? How about when I was talking, I was like, yeah, he would be really good for them. He would be really, just a guy who can just. Brogdon is like really, he's good. That was a good pickup for the Celtics. Really good pickup.
Well, you guys let us know on social media who your current award leaders are. Or, better than that, let us know in the Discord server, which you can join by hitting the link in our description. BJ and I will be back next week with more NBA talk. Enjoy your weekends. There's some World Cup action going on. England could make it to the quarterfinals on Sunday, if you want to keep an eye on it, BJ. There's some World Cup action. Your USA team are going up against the Netherlands, which should be a good game. But of course, there's going to be more NBA basketball. Luka's headed to Madison Square Garden, and I'm expecting him to put up an all-time performance. And there's going to be a lot going on. There's going to be a lot to talk about on Monday. So make sure you leave a review, leave a rating, share the podcast with your friends, and most importantly, get buckets.